Taking a chance to me sounds like a really good beat.
808.
I think.
Who wants to start?
Yes. I guess I feel like actually my first record was pretty brave. I was 14 and I would go into the room with Pharrell and Timbaland and these giants and be like, I'm writing my own music. I have something to say. And I think sonically I listen back to it and it's much more experimental and adventurous as I think it was packaged to be. There were some brave moments there. Lyrically, I also feel like as a teenager, you're writing from such a raw and honest place that I feel like lyrically, I still haven't upped a lot of things that I said. There's like poetry in everything I said in my little teenage emo
It's unfiltered
mind.
in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important not to underestimate the audience, the fact that they can understand and follow where you want to go, even if it's not the most easiest music or the most mainstream music. Because I think that the people will always get that you're honest and that you're following your instinct or your intuition. And it's something that sometimes I felt like I was losing a little bit of my instinct, where also in my first record I was more bold and also more maybe naive in a way. But sometimes I miss this like feeling of being a teenager, not really caring about who's gonna like the record. Sometimes the best.
You know, music's a very powerful medium because I feel, actually this morning I was lying on my bed and I had a little radio in the hotel room that was set on a jazz station for effect as you kind of walk in the room. But I just left it there and a Dinah Washington song came on and I love her so much. And I was just lying there kind of bleeding a little bit from my heart, just feeling and thinking, I guess leading into this conversation that we're gonna have, like how the language of music, you know? The subliminal or not subliminal, but the feelings that music and sound evokes that are like, you don't need, I mean, I feel like it's beyond language.
It is. It carries smell. It carries sight.
Yeah.
I think about your song Feather, and I can recall myself in so many spaces having such incredible freeing moments to it. But it's like, if you hear it, if I were to hear it now, I am back in my 20s at this bar. You know, like I can imagine everything. And that is just such an incredible gift and tool that we have to be sort of transporters of time and space in that way.
Well, I guess spontaneously what I think of is kind of leaning into life. You know, it's what I think of is like having your eyes closed and jumping back and waiting for something to catch you.
I was going to say jump also.
Yeah, having some kind of a faith in that something will catch you and that there is some kind of a plan there. So I guess flying.
Flying, jumping, there's something in the air also. Like.
Taking a chance to me sounds like a really good beat.
808.
I think like, sometimes when you're just dangling on the edge and then someone just goes, or you just don't, you know, and the beat drops and you're just like, I'm fine. I'm fine right now. I think so much of my courage has come through sound, you know?
Yes.
I started going to sound systems. When I first moved to London, that was really my big discovery, was like sound system culture. And like going in and hearing these masters of sound like Jashaka or Stereograph sound system and the bass. And I was like, and it really was like, yeah, like it gave me courage. I was like, I can go anywhere with this stuff.
I think philosophically, it's sort of, again, the leap of faith into the unknown. For me, there's that aspect live, you know, to play without a backtrack and know that it can go psh, or it can go psh, you know, the beat could change, anything could happen. And I think having that sense of communication with each other, I guess that's also a sense of taking a chance and being vulnerable. I think for me, that's jazz.
Yeah.
It's not so much that it has to be bebop or it has to be this or it has to, you know, it's
an
a kind of,
expression.
it's an expression and it's a way to communicate and to be open to whatever the moment will give.
I mean, I did something at some point. I can't remember. I'd recorded something, and my friend went, "Yo, that was very jazzed when you did that." And I was like, maybe I am like a product is maybe a weird word, but of where I come from, and I think maybe it's very much also about like it's a form of expression. And I think it's a way of listening. Jazz maybe is listening, starting over, you know, giving what you're doing a chance to start it's a new life as it's unfolding, you know? And sometimes I remember Don, my dad, being with young musicians who were wanting to impress him. And quite often he would just tell them to just don't worry. Don't play, you don't have to do a big solo, just play one note.
This reminds me, one day I was in the jazz school, and it was the first like ensemble lesson, and I was terrified because I did not know anything about jazz. I was coming from the piano, like classical piano, and that's exactly what my teacher said. She was like, "Angèle, don't worry, just play one note." And I was like, okay. And I remember playing so like, do, 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 and watching the piano, and everyone was like, "Yeah, you're doing great." And I think there's something like scary about jazz because it requires, of course, a lot of knowledge of the music, of the theory. But you really have to go through it. You really have to leave it behind. You have to not think about it too much. I like that it can be something that it's not snob, that it have to be like easy, because you have to just go through what you want to say, when you want to show, and if you're only playing one note, if you really believe in it, everyone will listen to it and like it. And I think this is what jazz is to me. It's like there is this idea of like a lot of technique, but when you leave it behind, it's actually about being really free to improvise, to really, it will never be the same. And I also love this idea. And when you're doing it and you don't know where you're going, this is even more like crazy because there's a big energy coming out of it.
There's been a few jazz vocalists who have really given me permission to use my voice in ways that are very primal, in ways that are not pretty, in ways that feel very guttural. And that was a really profound shift for me, hearing Jean Lee, Linda Sherrock, these women who commanded sound and really used their voices as instruments. And a lot of people use that term very loosely, you know, the voice is an instrument, but to actually hear them emoting and channeling a frequency with the sounds that they made, it gave me a lot of courage to have been able to see women who look like me make these sounds. And that has been like a real turning point for me. Just having that permission by way of the blueprint that they left for me, so.
Was actually What's Going On, Marvin Gaye. I think that album is like such an important record. I have listened to that record throughout my whole life. It still gives me goosebumps. And, you know, he took a massive chance. In fact, Berry Gordy did not want to put that record out. he was processing the Vietnam War, you know, that was his donation, there's another word, his offering to the world in that time. And I mean, I remember I was living on the Lower East Side in New York when that record came out, and I remember the mood. I remember the mood driving through Harlem, what you saw going up to my family who lived up on 143rd Street, and the feeling, what healing that record brought, and it still does. And he had to fight to have that record come out.
One album that I listened to recently was the last album of Tyler, the Creator, and by listening to the whole album, I really felt like I was taken on a journey, and I loved how true and how honest the lyrics are. I don't know, I felt inspired by this album, and I thought it was really bold, really beautiful.
Yeah.
My album would be D'Angelo's Voodoo album. I remember when I heard it the first time, I was in high school, and I was waiting for that album, and when I heard it, it was like sonically like nothing I'd heard before. And I remember it like that moment, just like how it hit me. And it still has, it's like a button. It makes me cry. Almost just talking about it makes me cry.
I want to write an opera, and I want to write an album for tuba. And those are gonna take incredible leaps of faith. I think mainly because I know that that's not necessarily what people are waiting for. But
I am. I'm waiting. This sounds great.
This sounds amazing.
Thank you. But I feel like I have a story to tell, and I feel like opera is the right context and the right medium. Being able to invite costume and theater and dance and narrative and storytelling and all of these ways. I'm not sure when it'll happen, but it will require a leap of faith.
So I think it's important, yes, to take a chance to connect with people, to connect with art, with music, gathering, dancing, singing, expressing ourselves, and find resilience all together.
Yeah.
I think.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, so much. Thank you.
So
Truly an honor to share space with y'all.
such a big honor.
What a posse.
Everybody's so kind.
Yeah.
It's really refreshing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's cold as shit. I would sit here and talk to y'all all day if it was not.